class? Okay, so I have asked for 2 years now to try and not have access in this class anymore. Because only like, what'd you say, like small businesses, like family-owned businesses really use this anymore. It's all done using what's called SQL online with databases to make things easier, but I got overruled on that. So I give you kind of an overview of access and the basics and everything that you need to know. If you use it again, I think you use it one other class in BITM that Viswa teaches that you guys might actually use access in, but other than that, it's just something good to know. So then I take the majority of one class and teach SQL in that class. So today we're just going to kind of go over a general overview of databases, access, and then give you a little introduction to things you do in access. And then all of November, we focus on access and SQL, and we'll go through little things in class. There's much less work than you've done so far when it comes to access, because I combined the majority of it into a group assignment. I told you guys last week, probably 5 or 6 young scholars in a group. Basically, you should do well. It's 150 points. Every one of the parts that you actually do in Access with the queries, there's already a YouTube video of it on my page. So each person in the group picks one of them to do, put your stuff in the database, send it off to the next person, they do it, send it off, and so on. Then you find SQL commands. I forget if it's 4 or 5, but that's usually the part that people struggle with, and we'll go over that next week, the following week, just so you guys know how to get the SQL code. And you just put whether it's 4 or 5, I forget what the instructions are. And that's due, I think, the day before the exam on the 28th of November. Other than that, there's just 2 little assignments for access over the course of the, I guess, 5 weeks that this is. So we're not, beating you up with do this or that, or like last week, do these 3 assignments. You like that, Reeves? That's okay. All right, so we'll start with a little bit about Microsoft Office, or Access, rather. So JJ, do you remember what version you used? No? How long ago was this? 6 years ago in high school? Yeah, you were just the start of Access 2016. So you probably know all this already. You've seen that logo before in the middle there? So what is Access, Reeves? Okay. What does that mean? Take it piece by piece. What's way mean? What's to mean? What's develop mean? What's application mean? What's software mean? What's Microsoft environment? Okay. Basically, Access works with everything. And you'll see, I don't know if it's next week or in 2 weeks, we can pull stuff in from Excel and use it. And I'll actually, since I have Access open, might as well show you. There's a way to basically import Excel. You can use a word merge to import information from Word. You can import HTML documents, XML documents, which if you have my 3730 class next fall, you'll understand what those are. You can import from Azure, SQL. You can import from online sources. And other databases like ODBC, which we won't get into because that is way too advanced for this class. So, like I said at the start, it's uncommonly used in the real world, but small businesses may still use it. Like I said, I was overruled when I wanted to get rid of it. Oh, and pros of Access. So the primary benefit of Access is that you don't have to know SQL. You don't have to know anything to use Access. It's a user interface. You just hit a bunch of buttons. And you are lucky to have the old man at the front of the room tell you what buttons they may be over the course of the next month or so. Riley, cons. So needs maintenance. Basically, every time Microsoft Office comes out with a new version, you have to go get that one to actually do the updated stuff. What do you think data storage limitations mean? Simple, right? Suraj, what do you think it means? Yeah. So you'll see when we go through Access databases momentarily, we put fields with properties in our tables and our queries and everything. You're limited in how much you can do because of these data storage limitations. Paul, are you going to do the retake? Okay. So like I said, with SQL, it works online. You could have it up on a website. And you want to get information from a database. All you do is type in your commands, and in some cases, it may have a specific cPanel is usually what they're called in web hosting, where you can do your updates with SQL. What's another big issue with Access, JJ, since you're the only one that's used it? Don't remember? You don't remember screaming at it constantly? Yes, you do. Just the basics. So the reason Access frustrates a lot of people and they scream at it, it freezes constantly. So like you could be doing something, and why I was hesitant to kind of have Access open and go back and forth like this, because it might freeze when I'm trying to go over that stuff. But there's two ways to use Access and create a database. There's templates available you can use, or you create one from scratch, which we'll see momentarily. So if you wanted to do like the checkbook, like we did in Excel last week, that would be one of the templates you could find in Access. Owen, what does this picture symbolize? Access tables. This is the breakdown of what goes in to a table. So your table is inside your database. Does that make sense? So your database is your actual file you save. Austin, how many tables can you have in your database? As many as you want. I think there's probably like a legitimate limit, like 255 or something that Microsoft has, but as many as you want. So what goes inside of a table, Drew? What goes inside of a table? Right. Those are called fields. They're not like Yankee Stadium or Citi Field or what's the Phillies one called now? PNC, some bank. What's it called? Citizens Bank? Austin's like, I don't know. What? Citibank? That's what the stadium the Phillies play in is called? Mike, you're laughing. Do you know? Citizens Bank, okay. I think the Pirates play in PNC Bank. Okay. Waterfield, Drew. So if I made a table about this class, give me an example of a field I might put in, Chris. What's like a attribute of this class? Kids with dark hair. That might be a query we would do. Don't overthink it. What's your first name? That's a field. First name. Last name. JJ, what were you going to say? Homework grades. Might not put that in a database because it might get hacked and then I'd get in trouble with FERPA, but that could also be a field. So Jackie, what would the data type of first name or last name be? The data type. Could be text. What else could it be? Could it be number? It could be a name. That's an option. Yes. What about another field? Unfortunate, Drew. What could be another field of this class? Boys versus girls. Should I be politically correct? Gender? Is that how they put it now? Boys, girls, other? Right? So gender could be a field. Erin, what data type would that be? So as you'll see when we go through this, you can have one that's like a drop-down selection. That could be the data type we use. Mike, what could be another field? Okay, age. And what data type would that be? Allie, what would age be? What data type? Number, okay. Reeves, how do you contact other people in the class when you set up your group? Text? Text, mail? Text or mail? Okay, text or email, okay. So could that be another field, like phone number? So what data type would that be? Text? It could be number, but there's also a data type for phone number. And what can a data type have? Paul? What's that last box say? Right, but what's that last box say? Value. What does that mean, Austin? Yeah. The amount? It's what you assign to that field. So if we put first name, what are you going to put in field? Your first name is what? Austin. That is the value. What would you put in, Suraj? Your first name is the field. The data type is name. What would you put in? Suraj, that would be the value. What about for phone number? What would the value be? Haley. Your phone number. Well, assuming you're matching it with your first name. So, and we'll see momentarily, we can create a table two different ways. Just create table or create table design. We're just going to focus on create table because we don't care what it looks like, only we're seeing this. But with create table design, you can go in, set it up, make it look nice, make changes to it, design it. That's why a lot of people tend to use the templates because the design is already set up for you. The main purpose of the tables is to use them to get information that we're going to do. The main purpose of the next couple weeks, what's called queries. We're searching to find answers for specific questions. Forms and reports basically just give us kind of a printout of that information. You know how we had columns and rows in Excel? Access is set up similar. The columns are called fields and the rows are called records. That's why you could see this applies to like small businesses, mom and pop businesses. They may use this for their like accounting purposes. Let's say they're running a bookstore. They may throw all this information into a database. What do you think a primary key is, Austin? Austin, what's a primary key? Okay. So what does that mean? Anybody know? Sophia, what does that mean? No idea. How do you get in your house with a key? Just one or seven? Just one, okay? So think of it this way. The primary key is the most important part or the way you get into your house. So it's the most important thing in the table. So if we made this database table, like I mentioned, of information about the class. JJ, what do you think the primary key might be? If we were to make this table for all the information about this class, what do you think the primary key should be? The most important thing? The people that come to class? Yeah, well, I would do last name just because that, you know, there's a couple Austins, there's a couple Drews. So we could have last name be the primary key. We could also have like a random auto number be the primary key, and Austin's 1 and Paul is 3 and Riley's 8, and I'll just go through and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is a null value? Like, what's a null value? You ever have like chemistry or? Yeah, do you remember chemistry null values from your hypotheses? Why am I getting like 8 emails? Kind of? Do you? Is it in the slides? Yes. So basically a null value is something's missing. You don't have an answer there. So when we joked last week about Austin running out of here on his hot date, that could be considered a null value. He kind of shied away from it until I said it like 3 times. That could be considered a null value. Nobody really knew what the answer was. Does that make sense? Sorry to pick on you. I just kind of wanted to give like a real world example, and I remembered that. So technically there's 3 views in Access we're going to use. I only mentioned them here. Data sheet view and design view, and then there's SQL view. All SQL view does is shows you the code when we do our queries of how the commands would look if you actually use SQL. Gabby, what's data sheet view do? What's data sheet view do? Excellent. William, what's design view do? Awesome. The data sheet view is where we can just throw all our records in. The design view is basically where we're setting all of this up. Our field data type. Data sheet view is basically where we're putting all the values in. Make sense? So forms and reports next. I basically told you that it just spits out the information from your table in different ways. What's the difference? Anybody? JJ, you're the only one who's used Access. What's the difference between a form and a report? Do you remember? Basically, one of them shows up all on one. The other is like a query. You have to click through, like you say you have 51 records in your table. You create it, it'll show up one at a time. You have to click through all 51 of them. So our goals going forward with Access, we're going to create a table from scratch, create forms and reports from a table created from scratch, create forms from a table, create reports from a table using criteria. Oh, and what's criteria? Yeah, like when you all got into college, what'd you have to do? An admissions letter, probably an application, probably a little check you had to write, right? What was it, like $50? Chris, what'd they charge you here for the application fee? You had a fee waiver? So you didn't have to pay a dime. Okay. Usually it's like something cheap, like $50, $100. What else? Maybe like your transcripts? So what was on your transcripts, Chris? Grades. That would be criteria. So if we had a table with all of Chris's grades, we could do criteria such as list all the classes that Chris got an A in. And how many would show up? How many classes did you have in high school? 8? 4 years of high school, you had 8 classes? Wow, that's awesome, man. 8 a year, you mean? So what is it, 32? So let's say we searched and Chris had 20 out of 32 A's. That would be our criteria. Reeves, what's going to be on the test?
Charts, queries based on database.
And what did I say about the exam for access? Everyone should do well. It's not like the Excel exam where they kind of give me a test to give you, and some of you did good, some of you did okay, and some of you not so much. Okay, next. We're going to tell you what databases actually are. Because apparently JJ is the only one that's used any access before. Ellie, have you used databases? You know what they are? Never heard of them before today, right? Okay, that's most people. What is a database, Jack? You're still opening the PowerPoint. I think it's the second one. Yeah, intro to databases. Yes. You don't know what that means? This is raw databases. Who among us owns a file cabinet? Nobody? How about a backpack? Let's use backpacks as an example then. Just JJ has a backpack? Boston's got a backpack. Owen's got a backpack. Reeves, do you have a backpack? What goes in your backpack? Textbooks? Computer? Binders? Computer charger? Pencils? Other stuff? Jackets? Okay. Maybe your pencils? Maybe your keys and wallet? So what is the table? Or the database, rather? The backpack is the database. And his computer might be a table. The charger might be a field because it goes with the computer, right? Now, why do you have binders for classes? Do they give you a lot of printouts or just to take notes? Okay. So the notebook could be another table, and the junk you put inside it, your notes, could be different fields. But what does back-end storage mean? Who owns a car? What's on the back end of your car? Trunk. Gabby, what do you put in your trunk? Softballs? Do you play softball? Or you're just looking to prank somebody tonight? Okay. So back-end storage is basically storage that's sitting there, ready for you to use when you need it. Gabby may not be playing softball tonight. She may be going partying somewhere or doing homework or studying with Sophia, who knows? But it's there when she needs it. What does relational database mean? What is that? Mike, any guesses? Okay. That's all you got? So let's say we have a table of information with this class. And then we have a table of information about the class next door. What might the relationship be? Actually, let's use a different example. Austin, do you have any other classes in this building? Do you have any other BITM classes? Do you have any other School of Business classes? Okay, so we can make a table of this class and name one of your other classes. Business law. What could there be a relationship between the two tables? Gabby? They're business classes, okay? What else? JJ? They could be in the same building. Unfortunate, Drew. You're in both of the classes. Your name's gonna pop up. So we could have the relationship be the last name or the first name. You're gonna do the retake? That's that back. I'm gonna email you the exam or the template. What could be another relationship, Austin? Okay. It might have the Stillman core requirements associated with them. They might have the same professor. They might have the same building they're taught in. They might have the same number of credits. What does multi-user capable mean? Haley, you want to take a crack at that? Many people can use it. So with Access, you have it on your computer. Only people that can access it are whoever is using your computer. May just be you. Maybe you let your roommate use it to look at something. Reeves might, just have it open and his cat scroll on it and hit a button by mistake. With most databases, primarily SQL and these others, like I said, you could access them online. So Mike can put a database up and Owen can look at it and access it. And depending on the permissions Mike set, he can go ahead and make the changes to it. And SQL, or structured query language, is based on specific standards. You'll see with Access, like I said, it's just clicking random buttons. With SQL and usual databases, you have to give them commands for them to understand what's going on. So a database is just a record-keeping system, helps you store information. And there's different approaches, like I mentioned, with the relational approach. So what is the purpose of the relational databases? Owen? Technically, but a relational database also does something else. So instead of opening up 8 different tables to look for something, we can do a query. And let's say we have all the tables for every class on campus here. And we just want to find out what classes Austin's taking. I just click his name on Banner and I could see. You guys can't, so what would you do? Allie, want to take a guess? If we want to find out all of Austin's classes, what would we do? Ask him? Okay, we could technically do that. But with the database, we would query. And if all the databases had relationships, you know, last name connecting, we could query and all of the classes Austin was in would show up. Like it says here, multiple tables can have information, but a different record. They're connected, we can find them all together if they're related. Who's ever seen DBMS written in any of their like business classes before? None of you? It stands for Data Management Systems. You might also see the acronym DBA, which is for Database Administrator. But all you're doing here is managing your databases. So a database administrator might manage 872 different databases that all relate to that specific business. For the most part in this class, I think we might deal with 5 different databases total, and that's including the homework assignments. Advantages. What are some of the advantages, Jackie? Right. So security and reliability. Like I said with Access, it's on Haley's laptop. Only people with access to Haley's laptop can go to it. The online versions like SQL are kind of the same way. Like I gave the example, Mike creates a database, gives Owen permission to use it. Who else is going to be able to use it? Haley, are you going to be able to use it? No. Mike only gave permission to himself as the super user and Owen as another user. And like I said, it's not going to freeze like Access, so it performs better. So what's the point of relating the databases together? I kind of hinted at this. So Jackie, how many Jackies are on campus here? A bunch, probably. So you wouldn't want to relate a couple tables by first name, right? You'd use last name instead, right? And so say we had every class on campus. Each of them had a table. All we'd have to do is query Austin's last name, get all his courses, right? Because that last name would be related to every other table that had last name in it. So what tables wouldn't it connect with? Tables without his last name. So let's say there was like an anonymous table that was set up with like all the parking tickets that were given out in October. If it wasn't linked by last name through relationship, we wouldn't know that Austin has, 5 speeding tickets and 4 violations for parking in a handicap spot, right? Austin hates this class. You get picked on so much. Does that sort of kind of make sense? Think of it this way. Chris, what information do you share with your father? No, I mean like, not like I have conversations with him. I mean, literally, what information do you share with him? Damn it. That's why I gave the qualifier, because I knew that was going to be the answer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah? Your last name, right? Unless you were adopted and maybe you have the adoptive parent's last name, right? So if we wanted to get, information that way, again, last name would be the relationship. I need to find out who to contact. Chris has assaulted me at the end of class. I gotta contact his father. I gotta go in this other database and find his father's contact info. The relationship would be the last name, right? Reeves, give us another example. Same gender in different tables. So what are you connecting? You want to see all the females in all the classes? So you can reach out to
You
them?
and your dad.
Well, we already did that example.
Oh,
We know his dad and him are the same gender. I think. Right? Like, we're gonna do another relational database. How can we connect the tables? And you said gender. So I gave an example. You want to find out all the females on campus in the different classes? No? Okay, you want to find out all the males in all the units.
Isn't that without agenda like that, right?
Yeah, that could be something we connect with. Riley, give us another idea. Okay, so like state maybe? Austin, what state do you live in? Jersey. Riley, what state do you live in? Pennsylvania. Not connected. Close. How far into Pennsylvania? Jesus. You got like an 8-9 hour ride, kid. Jackie, what state? Okay. So we queried if there was a connection, like say we had a table of each of your information and connected state, you'd both pop up. Haley, what state? Jersey, same thing. Reeves? You're from Toronto? So we could use Ontario as a province in place of state. Country, Canada wouldn't match with country, US, but that could be another way. Suraj, state? New Jersey, so you'd be in that group. Paul, what state are you from? New Jersey. There's so many New Jerseys. Chris, what state? Allie, what state? Drew, what state? Massachusetts. We got a different one. Okay. Drew, what state? Mike, what state? JJ, what state? So Mike went and took a leak. Owen, what state? Erin, what state? What state are you from? Buffalo, New York. Okay. So we only have 4 different states. Unfortunate Drew. William. Colorado, okay, we got a new one. Gabby? Sophia? California. And you came here? Well, at least it's 60-something degrees today. In a couple weeks, you'll be annoyed at me that we'll have to crack the windows because it's 90 degrees in here. And you'll be like, I should have stayed home. That stupid old man at the front of the room. So sorry, Reeves, you're a fish out of water. We could, Buffalo's kind of close to Toronto, right? So we could throw you in with Aaron. We search for New York and you both come up. I've had every state before in classes here, so I'm a little surprised by the, like, primarily New Jersey. Okay, Austin, what's next? Other database info. So JJ, when you learned Access, did they have you draw your tables or your database? Okay, so all the entity relationship model is basically drawing to set up what your table is, what your database is going to have. So who can tell me what these tables are here from the pictures? What are the tables? Any guesses? Allie, want to take a guess? What would the tables be? I'll give you a hint. There's two of them. So that should give it away by the shapes. Take a guess. I'm not going to be like the guy in Billy Madison and say that is one of the most dumbest things I've ever heard, and may God have mercy on your soul. This is a, you know, take a guess and I'll tell you if you're correct or not. There's only two of them. So look at the picture and see what shapes look the same, that there's two of them. Customer and account. Those are your tables. How many fields does the customer table have? 4. How many fields does the account table have? 2. Customer name, social security, customer sheet, customer city are in the customer table. Account number and balance are in the account table. What is depositor? It's the relationship that connects the two tables. So Owen, do you have a checking account? Where do you have it? Like TD Bank? Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo has customer table with all his information, first and last name, street address, maybe a PO box, or maybe a secondary address when he's on campus here. You live on campus? No? Okay, so maybe that doesn't work. But zip code, settings, maybe like you use an app on your phone for it. So maybe he has certain settings set up, like, text me an alert when my balance drops below $100, you know. I need to go put some money in. Then there's also an account table, which would have his account number, his account balance. It might have information like how many times you've overdrawn the account. Because some banks nowadays, they'll like give you discretionary overdrafts. Or like say Siraj, you know, he's low on funds, but you know, he wants to take somebody out to dinner tonight. He can overdraft his account and it, you know, charges him $35. That might be in that table of information. So Siraj can go and call the bank and be like, hey, you know, I had to, you know, take extra money out to X, Y, and Z. Is there any way you could refund that $35 overdraft fee? And what is their answer probably going to be? Any guesses? None of you have ever done this before? No? Chris, do you have a checking account? And you've never overdrawn it? No? 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 Reeves is like, yeah, I have TD Bank. They charge me for everything. You're from Toronto and you don't have TD Bank? What? Oh, I thought you said Mimo, like the crap you squirt in your water. I was like, what? So you can call and be like, yeah, can you give me this money back? And they'll be like, oh, hold on, I got to look at your records. And that's what they're looking at. Like how many times you did that recently. And they may be like, oh, you've never done it before. Okay, here's your $35 back. Or you could just not overdraw. That's another thing you could do. So I'm never going to have you do this. It's just something good to know if you ever take a database class. Database languages. There's data definition language and data manipulation language. Data manipulation language is primarily what we'll focus on. Editing stuff, changing attributes, fields, inserting data, deleting data, looking it up. Oh, I mentioned this before. DBA, database administrators. Schema definition. What's a schema? It's just jargon for a database. Storage structure and access method definition. Where's it going to be stored? Who's going to have access to it? Who am I going to give permissions to? So Austin, you're a database administrator. Who are you going to give permissions to? Only people you trust with the database. If you work somewhere as a database administrator, it's going to be only people that need to have access to that. So let's say, Mike, what do you want to do in life? You don't know yet. Make something up so I could go along with this example. Work in wealth management. So say you're working for Goldman Sachs. You got 85 clients. You're overwhelmed beyond belief. You have all this stuff in a database. They hire Owen and they say, Mike, give him access to 25 of your 85 clients just to get him started. Who's going to now have permission to the database? Both of you. And maybe people above you that might want to just check to see, hey, are Mike and Owen actually doing their work? Then there's the schema and physical organization, which is what I just showed you. You're actually drawing out how your database is going to look with your tables, etc. Integrity constraint specification. is something specific to like SQL and the non-access ones. So I'm gonna leave that. Access already does it for you, which is another, I guess, pro of Access, you could say, which is why you only have to hit buttons in Access. Reeves, what are the two types of database users? Are you a sophisticated user? No, so what would you be? Really? You'd be an unsophisticated user, right? You're not sure, you haven't touched Access yet. Application programmers, they kind of build this stuff. SQL's, written in C++ usually. Access, I think, is written in C#. Sophisticated users are like that example I gave with Mike and Owen. Like, there might be all this wealth management stuff you got to look at. And you don't want somebody who doesn't know what they're doing looking at that. Riley, do you invest? No? Who invests? Just Owen and unfortunate Drew and Austin and JJ? Do you want your information going to Reeves? Let's use Reeves as an example. No, why not? You don't trust him? What? You don't want him to see your information. Why? What's it going to include? Okay. What other information don't you want him to see? Maybe how well or how badly your stocks are doing? Maybe you have a beneficiary listed. Like I know for my Roth IRA, we have to list a beneficiary for who gets our money when we drop dead. You guys are hopefully not at that stage in life yet, but so you don't just want Reeves going in there and playing around, right? What else might be there that you don't want Reeves to see? JJ, what don't you want Reeves to see? Your address. You don't want him showing up to your house. Hey, I live in Toronto. Can I crash here tonight? No, you don't want that? Jackie, what else? You might have this in your wallet or purse. ID. You might have had to submit ID information to open an account. Reeves gets access to that. All of a sudden, he's got a second persona. He's now Jackie, takes a couple credit cards out in your name. What kind of stuff do you like to do? Like video games, poker? Go to sports games. Takes a credit card out in your name now. And Blue Jays fan? Yeah. Maple Leafs fan? Argonauts? So Raptors. So he takes the credit card out in your name. Gets what's it called now? Scotiabank. Gets a nice little suite in Scotiabank. It's like $2,500. You get a letter in the mail. Hey, where's this $25 you owe us from let's say Capital One credit card? What are you gonna do? You're gonna call the police. What else would you do? Well, that's what you do to the police, right? Who else are you gonna call? Ghostbusters? You'll call Reeves? You don't know that he stole your info from your wealth management portfolio? You're gonna call Capital One, right? They sent you this letter. Who stole my information? Where did this come from? We'll focus on this primarily over the next couple of weeks. Query. What do you think a query is? Raj, what's a query? Search. Yeah. How old is Jackie? That's a query. How mature is Austin? That's a query. What's Owen's favorite color? That's a query. What's Chris's favorite hairdo? That's a query. What's Reeves' favorite thing to steal? That's a query. What's Reeves and Austin's favorite Vineyard Vines shirt? That's a query. What do you think a storage manager does? Focuses on how a database is stored. So you're going to have an authorization integrity manager that focuses on those specific permissions we mentioned there. Transaction manager does what? Haley? Manages transactions. It ensures that the database remains in a constant state despite system failures. So it checks for any of the errors. What are the transactions? What's happening? What about a file manager? Austin, take that one. So what are these things you guys use if you have too much crap on your computer? USB, maybe an external hard drive. What's a buffer? Let's get ready to rumble. What's a buffer manager? He goes and finds, or she goes and finds this information you need. Say Reeves hid his database somewhere. So he can't, so in case somebody hacks it, nobody can find it. He's in a group with Jackie, Haley, Siraj, and Austin, let's say. He's now the buffer manager. He has to go find that and send it off to you guys to do your part of the process. So the physical system of a database is data files, data dictionary, which is the information about your information, which is called metadata, indices, and statistical data. Anybody have like a statistics or a business stats class? Yeah? What kind of data did they have? Just a bunch of random stuff in Excel probably, right? Random numbers? Well, as we'll see, I don't remember if it's next week or in 2 weeks. We can import all that stuff from Excel into a database and use it. All right, so do we want to take a 10-minute break or power through and go through some stuff with Access? Gabby, we'll leave it up to you. Power through or 10-minute break? Okay. So JJ's probably the only one who knows how to do this. Let's see where it says type here to search. You might have Access off here on the side. If not, type in there Access. It'll come up and open the Access application. Look up when you got it open.
National police is supposed to be applied to all the countries or just the UK country?
International is just going to be UK. International.
Because of, but even though it's based in New York, since the station is in UK, they'll be charging me. I see the whole table, so I thought it applies to everything.
Well, you're gonna use the VLOOKUP. And you're gonna see, okay, that's US, that's US, that's US, that's US. It doesn't apply. Does that
Okay,
make sense?
It's just UK. Okay, I want to make sure. You have to use VLOOKUP.
For the tables, I prefer it, yeah.
Okay.
And then if it asks you, I think there's one here too. If anything says payment, then use payment function.
Yeah. And then for this one, oh, it wants us to find the payment monthly. Do you want us to leave the monthly value in there or multiply it by 12 to get the annual value because of the annual production cost?
Multiply it by 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got access open? Yes, no, maybe so. Sophia, what do I do? What do I do? What? What do I do? Because you have a Mac? So look at Gabby's. And what do I do? Just click blank database. We're not going to use the templates. And then I click create. We're creating a brand new database. So this entire file is our database. What's our table, Austin? What's our table, Austin? What's our table, Austin? Table 1 is our table. What are we going to make a table of? All the young scholar, all the female young scholars that Austin has broken their hearts of? That's a good table? Okay, so let's rename table 1. Right click on the side there where it says table 1 and select rename. Well, close the table first and then do it. Or not. Okay, yeah, that's happy. Okay, click the create tab and we'll create a table. Right click at the top and save. What do we want to name this? AC the Heartbreaker? Okay, let's name our table AC the Heartbreaker. Then click OK. See where it says table 1 above ID? Right click that and select the button that says save. And a pop-up like this shows up. Okay. So what view is this? I'll give you a hint. You can click the rulers that say view. That'll show you. Data sheet. So we're going to go to design view so we can set up our fields. Okay. So ID is our primary key. It's just an auto number to give us a count of how many women Austin's broken the hearts of. What fields do we want? Paul, you look like you're a heartbreaker too. What fields should we put in here? You're not sure? We can put name. Just name or first name, last name? Okay. So just first name. And then see here where it says data type? We can do short text, long text. Name doesn't show up anymore. Oh, well. Do we want to do short text or long text, Austin? Have you dated a lot of women with long names, like over 255 characters? Okay, so short text works for us. What else? JJ? Do we really want to identify all these women that Austin's broken the heart of? No? So why are we gonna put their last name in? You gotta give them some anonymity. What? Okay, university? Maybe we could do that as long text. Because they might go to like, University of Texas at El Paso. What else? Riley? Well, we're not giving their last names, so not too specific, but I don't know. Maybe state, that could work. Austin's been everywhere, man. We could do a short text or state and just limit it to 2. See down the bottom here? It has a list of your attributes. Change the field size from 255 to 2. Are you in design view? Click this box that says view and go into design view. What else, Reeves? How about Austin seems like the type that he'd make them pay for dinner? Can we put that as a field? How do we name this, Reeves? Money's owed? Okay, money's owed. What? Rightfully earned? Owed? Now, what would we take that to? Currency, I guess? How many decimal places do we want? Do you owe them like 17 cents or it's just full amounts? Like $128.17? Or is it like $128? Okay, no decimals then. Click where it says auto and select 0. Right under currency. What else? Gabby? Okay. Breakup method. And then we could do I guess we could just do short text for that. Want to try and use the yes or no? What can we do for that? Do they still speak to them? And we could have that data type be the yes or no. I think that's enough, right? Haley, do you have anything we should add? Think it's good? Suraj, any ideas? Austin's got an idea. Year of entanglement? Okay. We could do date and time extended for that. And then for format, just select short date. Reeves, does that look good? That seems like enough? Riley, does that seem like enough? Chris, does that seem like enough? Okay. So right click up at the top here and now save our table. I don't care. Click yes if it gives you an error. Why would I care about earlier versions of Access? We're using this version. So now what do I do, Jackie? I want to put info in now. We go back to data sheet view. And now you'll notice we can add records in. Okay. Who wants to volunteer? Riley, do you want to volunteer? Okay, Riley's going to volunteer. You said you're from Pennsylvania, right? Does Austin owe you money? Has he taken you out and made you pay? $50, okay. A nice crappy dinner at Red Lobster. Who said McDonald's? You gotta bring like 5 people to get $50 at McDonald's. This is just one date. How did he break up with you? Text, email? Okay, text. Austin's a jerk off. Do you still talk? No? Okay, so leave that unchecked. What year was the entanglement? 2020? Okay, they got lonely during COVID. Okay, sir, the value you, okay, what month and date? Let's say right after COVID, 05, 02, 2020 was their year of entanglement. Okay, Suraj, give us another woman that Austin's broken the heart of. Nicole, where does she go to college? Rutgers, okay. What state is she from? Dirty Jersey? How much money does Austin owe her? It's just 75? How did he break up? Email, text, phone call, face-to-face? FaceTime. Okay. Do they still speak? Yes, okay. So yes, you click the box to get the check mark inside. When was their entanglement? 2022, okay. Let's say this was Saturday. They went and canoodled at the football game. The 10/29/2022. Haley, make up another person. Brooke, okay. And where did Brooke go to college? West Virginia University, okay. Where is she from? New York, okay. And how much money does Austin owe her? 120. They went on a couple of dates before he decided to break up. How did he break up with her? Text, email, phone call, FaceTime, face-to-face, in person, okay. Do they still speak? No? Okay. And what was their entanglement? 2021. Okay, let's say March 2nd, 2021. Jackie, give us another young female scholar that, you know, Austin took advantage of. Well, he's taken all this money. I don't know if he took advantage in other ways, but Stephanie, PH or F? Okay. And what college does she go to? Alabama. University of Alabama. Where's she from? What state? Texas. How much money does Austin owe her? Just $10. Okay. He took her to McDonald's. How did they break up? Email. Okay. I'm surprised nobody said Snapchat yet. Do they still talk? Okay, so we checked that box. When was their entanglement? Christmas last year? Okay, 12/25/2021. Okay. Let's do a couple more. Allie, make up a person. Jessica. And where's Jessica go to college? Rowan? And where's she from? New Jersey, okay. And how much money does Austin owe her? $60, okay. And how did they break up? Snapchat, TikTok. You wrote her a letter? Okay, letter. And do they still talk? No? And when was their entanglement? 2020. Let's go with the day COVID was first announced. 3/16/2020. All right, one more. We'll let Sophia pick. Make up a female that Austin's broken the heart of. Grace. And where did she go to college? Fordham University? Is that what you said? University of Oregon, okay. Austin's bothering the Ducks. Where's she from? WI, right? How much money does he owe her? $73. They went to Chipotle a couple times. How did they break up? Later. Oh. Snapchat, okay. Do they still talk? No? And when was their entanglement? 2015. When was your spring break in 2015? Let's just say 4/25/2015. You know what? I'm going to do one more. Erin, make up a female young scholar Austin's broken the heart of. Emma, okay. Where'd Emma go to college? NYU. What state's she from? Uh-oh, Sophia. How much money does he owe her? $100. How did he break up with him? With her, rather. Text, okay. Do they still speak? No? And when was their entanglement? 2018. All right, let's do 4th of July. 7/4/2018. Okay. So now we save our table again. And this will be an extra credit question on the exam. This row down the bottom with the asterisk that has nothing in it is called an append row, where the new information goes. Append, APPEND row. All right, so what kind of information do we want to find, Haley? How much money Austin owes? Okay. So let's create query. Click create and then query design, and a screen like this pops up. What do we want to call this, Haley? Where it says create, click that tab. And then right around here, it says query design. Click that button. What do we want to call this query, Haley? Yeah. Austin's debt. So right click where it says query one, click save and type Austin debt. Okay, it changes the query to Austin debt, pops up the query on the side. So what specifically do we want to show? All of his debts? His debts over a certain amount of money, or just all of them? All of them, okay. So see here, we can set up our fields that we want. So what fields do we want? What happens when you click that drop down? Nothing, right? We have to add our table first. So double click the table on the side there. Now we can add our fields. Riley, what two fields are we going to need? The money second. What's the first one? Name. So double click first name. It shows up now as our field. And then double click monies owed. It shows up there now. You double click the table on the side there to get the table to show up in our query. Then just click first name twice and monies owed twice. They pop up down here. Okay, Haley, this is your query. Do you want to sort these in any kind of order? Okay, see this row where it says sort? Click under monies owed. And you want smallest to largest. So is that ascending or descending? Everybody's got that? Gabby? Do you have this here? Do you have this on the side? Double click that, so this pops up. And then double click first name and monies owed, so they come down in the field section. That's not a bother. If you're stuck on something, you need me to repeat it, just ask. Haley wants us to sort from smallest to largest. So where it says sort under monies owed, click that little caret there and it'll say ascending, descending, not sorted. Select ascending. So JJ, you're the only one here other than me that knows Access before today. What do we do to get this answer? You don't remember? Oh, and looking at the screen, what giant thing button would you think I'd have to press to run this query so we get the answer? We're trying to run this query to get this answer. Click that giant button with the red exclamation point above the word run to run the query. What if you don't have that? You can go into data sheet view by right-clicking Austin debt, and it should give you the answers. So Haley, why do we have a 0 down the bottom? That's our append row. Yep. So what if we wanted to total this? I would do it in that row? No. We would go back to our query by going back to design view. We would double click monies owed again. So this time we have it a second time. And see this auto sum button here that says totals? We'd click that. And see how a new row comes up called the totals row? Under our second monies owed, instead of group by, we'd now do sum. And what happens when you run now? What comes up in that column? All the money Austin owes these young scholars that he's broken the hearts of. See the auto sum button up here that says totals underneath it? That's how you get the totals row. And then by default, it shows up group by, group by. Change that second monies owed to sum. So this way we get the total. And how much money do you owe, Austin? You're still like entering it? Haley, what's the total? It didn't give you a total? It just put the numbers next to it again. When you ran it? Interesting. It's supposed to just give you the sum. So normally when you do the totals row, it's supposed to just give you the sum. If you used count, it would just give you the count. Paul, question? Yep, see the giant auto sum button there? Just click that and the row pops up. So click above that and delete it for now. By clicking this button here that says delete columns. Then run it and it'll give you the answer. Save that query. We'll create a new query and do this. Double click to get this table again. What should we call the total this time, Haley? Moocher Austin? Okay, Moocher Austin. We double click monies owed. We got our totals row. And we do sum. And we run it. And Austin owes $488 over 7 women. That's almost $70 a young scholar, my man. What are you doing? They're not getting their money back. Keep that in mind, all of you that, you know, might be interested. JJ? I created a new query called Moocher Austin. What? I just went back and created a new query. I clicked create query design. I changed the name to Moocher Austin. I double clicked our table to get all our fields. Then I just clicked money's owed to drop it down. Then I click to get the totals row again. And then I change group by to sum. And I ran it. And we see that Austin owes $488 to these 7 female young scholars that he says he's not going to pay back. So keep that in mind in case, Austin asks you to dinner or anything. Let's put Sophia on the spot. He owes 7 other women $488. Would you go out with him? No? Nice looking young man. No? Just say I'm already in a relationship. Move on. Gabby, what about you? Riley, would you date him knowing that he owed all that money? You don't know? You're open-minded. Eventually? Allie, what about you? No? You're like, I can barely stand sitting next to him. What about you, Haley? No? That's a deal breaker that he owes money? What about you, Jackie? Deal breaker? Yeah. You gotta be honest and forthcoming with the females there, Austin. You were brutally honest, that's true. He did admit to owing $488 that he refuses to pay back. Okay, so what other kind of queries do we want to look at? We've now seen that Austin's a moocher and doesn't want to pay these women back. What else can we do a query for, Chris? Let's do 2 other queries just to get us to 4 o'clock and see that we kind of have some idea what we're doing. No guesses, Chris? No? Gabby? Okay, favorite breakup method? What one are you going to search for? Okay. So create. Query design. Right click, query 1. Favorite breakup method. Okay. Now what do we do? Haley, do you remember? Double click the side table to get our fields. Now what field are we going to use, Reeves? Breakup method. And now how do we get text? Do we want to include their name? You should only have one of those boxes. Right click one of them and it should say delete. See this button? Click that and see it will get rid of it. Do we want names? No? Yes? No? Why not? How do we know who you broke up with by text? We'll add in first name. So JJ, you've used Access before, the only one. How do we find the word text? By sorting. That sorts all of our records. Give you a hint, it's where the cursor is. Criteria, what do we put in criteria, Owen? Put the word text in quotes. And then what happens when you run it, Jackie? How many results? 2. He only broke up with 2 out of the 7 via text. The other 5 were all random ways, Snapchat, letter, FaceTime. So let's see who Austin broke up with by text. Riley and Emma. Oh boy. And you were open-minded about this. What? Never mind. Probably the worst way possible to break up with someone is a text. Yeah. That's probably why it's the worst. Gabby, question? You didn't get the same first names? Oh, you just double click first name from here to add it as the second one. Because otherwise on yours, it's just going to say text, right? Good. That's what we want. All right, Aaron, you decide what the last query is going to be. Do we want to do they still talk anymore? Okay, simple enough. So create query design. What do we want to call it, Aaron? Talking or not, okay? So we double click our table to add it on. What column do we need? Column that has it. Do they still speak is what I put it as. Do we want their name? Okay. And what happens when you run that? What happens when you run that? Yep. So do we want to sort that or no? Show the only 2 that still speak to him. Okay. So we go back to design view and let's do ascending for do they still speak and run that. And the only 2 he still speaks to, Stephanie and Nicole, are now at the top. Emma, Grace, Jessica, Brooke, Riley, all said good luck. Good luck in good bowling, as they used to say at Ocean Lanes. Do we want to do anything else with this, Aaron? You don't think so? How do I save what file? The Access database? See this giant floppy disk up here? You could do that. You could do file, save as, or save. What do you want to call the database? Halloween example that scared Austin from ever coming again? Let's just call it Halloween example. Yeah, we still got 7 minutes before 4 o'clock. Reeves, pick another query for us to do. Year of entanglement, okay? Create query design. What do you want to call this query? Year of entanglement, okay? And how do we want to go with these entanglements? Just list them? Oldest to newest, okay? So we'll do first name and then year of entanglement. And you want to sort by year of entanglement, you said, right? So that rendezvous he had spring break 2015 should come up first, right? I think that was the earliest one, right? Jackie, what'd you get? What's the order? Who's first? Who's first, Dally? Grace is first. Grace was the spring break 2015 rendezvous. Then it was Emma, then it was Jessica, then it was Riley, until she decided to say never mind. Then it was Brooke, then it was Stephanie, then over the weekend it was Nicole. Is this what you got, Reeves? Is this what you had in mind with your query?
Yep.
We could have also done, you know, instead of just state or university, like where their entanglement happened. You know, like, what's the dorm you live in? Okay, and what about this year? You commute? Okay. So, you know, could have been something creepy like Maplewood train station, or, you know, something like that. Boston's like, what the hell does this jerk keep picking on me? It's every class now. Paul, question. You have Nicole as the first? So in design view, you have ascending for year of entanglement? Okay. So that would be why. Suraj, does any of this make sense? Can you see why it is kind of outdated to some degree? Reeves, do they use this in Toronto? You've never seen it? Have you've worked in places in Toronto? No? Have you worked around here? You worked for the Blue Jays. Did you ever meet Sarah Walsh's husband? No, I think he's the bullpen coach. No, do you have any clue what I'm talking about? Sarah Walsh is some lady who was on Sports Center 5, 6 years ago for a couple of years. Then she disappeared, and apparently now she's married to the Blue Jays bullpen coach and has a couple of kids. So I don't know if she quit because she had kids or what the story was. All right, so you have some degree of access and quite criterias. The next couple of classes will go more advanced and use importing of Excel data as well. So since you still technically have 33 minutes of class, if you want, go ahead and try and set up your groups of 5 or 6 for the Access SQL group project. No questions? What about the young scholars on Teams? Any questions?
Yeah. The last row, what's it called? The row?
Append row, yep.
EPPEND.
APPEND.